Darth Vader stood alone in his meditation chamber aboard the Executor, suspended in darkness, breathing through the mask that kept him alive. The dark side flowed through him like poison he'd learned to drink. It was all he knew, all he was. Then, without warning, the Force surged. Not from Palpatine, not from some external threat, from deep within Vader himself, like a dam breaking inside his mind. Images flooded him, unbidden, unstoppable. Padmé, her hand on his face, whispering, "Ani, I love you." Obi-Wan standing on Mustafar, voice breaking, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." Ahsoka grinning beside him in the Clone Wars. "I'm glad you're my master, Sky Guy." Vader staggered, his breathing quickened, rasping, mechanical, desperate. The memories didn't stop. They clawed their way to the surface, ripping through the lies Palpatine had fed him for 20 years. He saw himself not as Vader, but as Anakin, young, hopeful, human. He saw Padmé dying not because of the Jedi, but because of him, because he choked her, because he fell. He saw the younglings, their terrified faces in the temple, and felt the weight of every life he'd taken since. The chamber walls seemed to close in. Vader's gloved hands trembled. His knees buckled. "No," he whispered, his voice distorted through the vocabulator. "No, what have I done?" The dark side tried to pull him back, to bury the memories again under rage and obedience. But Anakin fought it. For the first time in 2 decades, Anakin Skywalker fought the darkness inside Darth Vader. And he didn't let go. The vision faded, but the memories remained. Clear. Sharp. Undeniable. Vader rose slowly, no longer just the Emperor's weapon. Anakin was awake, now trapped inside a broken body, inside an empire built on his own betrayal. He looked down at his gloved hands, hands that had murdered Jedi, strangled officers, served a Sith Lord without question. Hands that had once saved people. Anakin's voice quiet, shattered, echoed inside the mask. "I can't undo what I've done," he whispered. Then his fists clenched resolve, hardening like Durasteel. "But I can stop what comes next." Across the galaxy on the Death Star, Emperor Palpatine paused mid-conversation. He felt it. A disturbance in the Force. And for the first time in years, Palpatine smiled with uncertainty. Anakin didn't sleep that night. He couldn't not, with the weight of 2 decades pressing down on him like the Death Star itself. He sat in his chamber, the meditation pod open, staring at nothing. The dark side whispered to him, "Forget. Serve. Obey." But Anakin pushed back. Every time the darkness tried to drown him, he remembered Padmé's voice, Obi-Wan's face, Ahsoka's trust. He remembered who he used to be. But he also knew the truth. He couldn't just stop being Vader. If he defied Palpatine openly, the Emperor would sense it immediately. He'd be killed, or worse, tortured into submission again. And then, nothing would change. No, Anakin needed to be smarter, quieter, patient. He would stay Vader on the outside, cold, obedient, ruthless. But on the inside, he would sabotage every operation he could, delay orders, let rebels slip through his fingers, protect the innocent when no one was watching. He would tear the Empire apart one careful step at a time. The first opportunity came sooner than expected. Grand Moff Tarkin transmitted orders Vader was to lead a fleet to the Outer Rim and crush a rebel cell hiding on Lothal. Standard Imperial brutality. No survivors. The old Vader would have obeyed without hesitation. But Anakin hesitated just for a heartbeat, then made his choice. He altered the deployment schedule quietly, subtly giving the rebels an extra 12 hours to evacuate. He sent the slowest Star Destroyers first. He misinterpreted intelligence reports, sending troops to the wrong sector. By the time the Empire arrived in full force, Lothal was empty. Tarkin was furious. "Lord Vader, how did they escape?" Vader's voice was cold, emotionless. The rebels had advance warning. "We will investigate." Tarkin accepted it. Why wouldn't he? Vader had never failed before. But inside the mask, Anakin smiled for the first time in 20 years. It was a small victory, Barely a dent in the Empire's machine, but it was something. Proof that Anakin Skywalker could still choose good even from inside Darth Vader's armor. He would do it again, and again, as many times as it took. But on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine reviewed the mission report with narrowed yellow eyes. "Curious," he murmured, and he began to watch his apprentice more closely. Over the following months, the pattern continued. Small, careful, impossible to trace. A rebel transport fleeing Corellia received a 10-minute head start because Vader's fighter squadron experienced technical malfunctions. A supply convoy bound for the rebellion was marked as low priority in Imperial databases. Vader's doing. An officer who questioned an execution order was transferred instead of killed because Vader intervened at the last second. The galaxy didn't notice. The rebels didn't know. But the Empire was weakening one invisible wound at a time. And Anakin kept his mask perfect. He still struck fear into officers. He still force-choked failures when Palpatine was watching. He still led Star Destroyers into battle with ruthless efficiency when it didn't matter. But when it counted, when lives could be saved, Anakin made sure Vader failed. The Emperor, however, was no fool. During a holographic briefing, Palpatine's voice dripped with suspicion. "Lord Vader, your recent campaigns have been less effective than usual." Vader didn't flinch. "The rebels grow more organized, my master. We are adapting." "Are we?" Palpatine's yellow eyes pierced through the hollow. "Or are you growing soft?" The dark side pressed against Anakin, like a physical weight testing him, probing for cracks. He felt Palpatine reaching into his mind, searching for doubt, for hesitation, for Anakin. But Anakin had learned this game long ago. He fed the Emperor what he expected: rage, loyalty, cold ambition. He buried the truth so deep even the Sith Lord couldn't find it. "I serve the Empire without question," Vader said, voice flat, mechanical, dead. Palpatine studied him for a long moment, then smiled. "See that you do, my apprentice. I would hate to lose you." The transmission ended. Vader stood alone in the command deck, hands trembling slightly. That was close. Too close. Palpatine was watching now. Every move, every decision. But Anakin couldn't stop. Not now. Not when he was finally doing something right for the first time in decades. Then his comlink chirped. "Lord Vader," an officer reported, "we've intercepted a rebel strike team on Malachor. Orders?" Anakin's breath caught. Because leading that team, according to the intelligence report, was a Togruta Jedi, former Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. Malachor's ruins were dark ancient Sith temples crumbling under the weight of forgotten wars. Ahsoka Tano moved through the shadows with her white lightsabers ready, leading a small rebel strike team to recover a holocron. Then she felt him. Cold, powerful, unmistakable. Vader. Her team scattered as his Star Destroyer descended. Stormtroopers flooded the temple. Ahsoka ignited her sabers, ready to fight, ready to die if she had to. Vader emerged from the smoke, black armor gleaming, red lightsaber humming. "Ahsoka Tano," he said, and his voice made her freeze. Not because it was mechanical, not because it was threatening, but because it sounded sad. She circled him carefully. "If you're here to kill me, Vader, get it over with." "I'm not," he replied. Ahsoka's grip tightened. "Then what do you want?" Vader stood still, silent, like he was fighting himself. Then, slowly, his gloved hands reached up, and he removed his helmet. The hiss of pressurized seals. The mask lifting away. Ahsoka's breath stopped. Beneath the helmet burned, scarred, barely recognizable, was Anakin Skywalker. "Sky Guy?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Snips," Anakin said, his real voice. Rough, damaged, but his, "I'm sorry, for everything." Tears filled Ahsoka's eyes. "They told me you were dead." "I was," Anakin said quietly, "but I'm trying to come back." Ahsoka didn't lower her sabers. How do I know this isn't a trick? Anakin's scarred face softened just slightly. Because I let your team escape 2 months ago on Lothal, and I've been sabotaging the Empire ever since. Ahsoka stared, searching his face, his presence in the Force. The darkness was still there, thick, choking, but beneath it, she felt something else. Something she hadn't felt in 20 years. Anakin. Why now? She asked. Because I remembered, Anakin said. And I can't let Palpatine win. Ahsoka's lightsabers finally lowered just an inch. What do you need? Help, Anakin admitted. I can't do this alone. Before Ahsoka could answer, a cold, venomous voice echoed through the temple. How touching. They spun. Emperor Palpatine stood in the doorway, flanked by royal guards and inquisitors. And his smile was pure poison. Did you really think I wouldn't notice, my old friend? Emperor Palpatine stepped forward, lightning crackling at his fingertips. The inquisitors moved into position, 5 of them, red blades ignited, eyes hollow with dark-side corruption. Ahsoka raised her sabers. Anakin replaced his helmet, breathing steady, mind racing. You disappoint me, Vader, Palpatine hissed. I gave you everything, and you repay me with treachery. You gave me nothing but lies, Anakin replied, voice distorted but firm. Palpatine's smile widened. Then you will die alongside your precious apprentice. The Inquisitors advanced. Ahsoka prepared to fight, but Anakin didn't ignite his saber. Instead, he spoke. Third sister, he said, looking directly at her. Your name was Reva Savander. You survived Order 66 as a youngling. Palpatine promised you power, but he's been using you to hunt the Jedi you once called family. Reva hesitated just for a heartbeat. Anakin turned to another. Fifth brother, you were a Jedi Knight named Akar. You fell because Palpatine told you the Council abandoned you. But they didn't. He killed them. The fifth brother's blade wavered. Palpatine's expression darkened. Silence him. But Anakin didn't stop. All of you, every single one, you were Jedi once. He broke you, twisted you, made you believe the dark side was your only choice. His voice dropped raw, honest. I know because he did the same to me. The Inquisitors froze. Confusion rippled through the Force. But I remember now, Anakin continued. I remember who I was, and you can too. You don't have to serve him. You don't have to be his slaves. Reva looked at Palpatine, then back at Anakin. He's lying, she whispered, but her voice cracked. Am I? Anakin asked. Or are you finally hearing the truth? Palpatine's rage exploded. Inquisitors killed them both. But Reva didn't move. Neither did the fifth brother. One by one, the Inquisitors lowered their blades and turned toward the Emperor. Palpatine's face twisted with fury. You dare. Reva ignited her saber and lunged. Not at Anakin. At Palpatine. The temple erupted into chaos. Lightning, blades, screams. Ahsoka grabbed Anakin's arm. We need to go now. They ran together as the Inquisitors bought them time with their lives. And behind them, Palpatine's scream of rage shook the ancient stones. Ahsoka brought Anakin to the rebel fleet, but the moment he stepped off the transport, blasters pointed at his chest. Mon Mothma stood at the front, calm but cold. Darth Vader requests asylum? Anakin Skywalker requests a chance, Ahsoka corrected. Vader has slaughtered thousands, Admiral Akbar said sharply. Why should we trust him now? Anakin didn't argue. He stood silent, armored, masked, knowing they were right to hate him. Then a voice cut through the crowd. I'll vouch for him. Everyone turned. Obi-Wan Kenobi stepped forward, older, worn, but steady. Beside him stood Luke Skywalker, young, uncertain, staring at the father he'd never known. Anakin's breath caught. Obi-Wan. Don't, Obi-Wan interrupted, voice tight. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. He stepped closer. But Ahsoka told me what you did. And if there's even a chance you're telling the truth, We need you." Luke said nothing, just studied Anakin with wide blue eyes like Padmé's. Mon Mothma raised a hand. "Even if we accept your defection, what can you offer?" Anakin straightened. "Imperial codes, fleet movements, the Emperor's schedule, and," he paused, "I know how to destroy the Death Star." End quote. Emperors. The room went silent. "You're lying," someone whispered. "I'm not," Anakin said. "I helped design it. I know its weakness." Obi-Wan's eyes narrowed. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," Anakin replied, "except the chance to make things right." Mon Mothma studied him for a long moment. "We'll use your intelligence, but you stay under guard. One wrong move." "I understand," Anakin said. Over the next weeks, Anakin fed the rebellion everything: tactical data, supply routes, patrol schedules. He didn't ask for trust. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just worked. And slowly, very slowly, the rebels stopped seeing him as Vader. But Palpatine wasn't idle. The Emperor unleashed his full wrath. Star Destroyers hunting rebel bases, Inquisitor survivors ordered to kill Anakin on sight, and a new apprentice being trained in secret. Then, Anakin received a transmission. Palpatine's hologram appeared smiling like a serpent. "Come to Coruscant, my old friend. Face me, or I will burn every world you ever loved." Anakin looked at Obi-Wan, at Luke, at Ahsoka. "I have to go," he said quietly. "Then we go together," Luke replied. And Anakin realized for the first time he wasn't alone anymore. The Imperial Palace loomed like a shadow over Coruscant. Anakin walked through its halls, no longer in full armor. He'd shed the chest plate, the cape, the pieces of Vader he could remove. Only the helmet and life support remained, keeping him alive, but no longer defining him. Beside him, Obi-Wan, Luke, and Ahsoka, the family he thought he'd lost. The throne room doors opened. Palpatine sat waiting, ancient, patient, smiling. Anakin Skywalker. How nostalgic. Anakin stepped forward. "This ends today." Palpatine laughed a cold, mocking sound. "You think you can defeat me? You broken, weak, pathetic?" "I'm not fighting you alone," Anakin said. Luke ignited his green lightsaber. Ahsoka's white blades blazed to life. Obi-Wan's blue saber hummed, steady and true. Palpatine's smile vanished. "So be it." Lightning erupted, blinding, relentless. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka deflected desperately. Luke staggered, but Anakin stepped into the center, arms wide, and absorbed it. The dark side poured into him. Familiar, seductive, deadly. But Anakin didn't let it consume him. Instead, he channeled it, controlled it, turned it into light. His hands glowed half shadow, half brilliance as he unleashed the Force in its purest form. Palpatine's eyes widened. "Impossible." "I am the chosen one," Anakin said, voice raw, powerful. "And I bring balance." The energy exploded outward, slamming Palpatine back, cracking the throne, shattering windows. The Emperor tried to rise, but Anakin was on him, driving him down. Every strike, fueled by decades of pain and regret, finally turned to purpose. Obi-Wan, Luke, and Ahsoka joined the assault 4 against 1, light against dark. Palpatine screamed rage and terror as the Force itself turned against him. Anakin raised his hand one final time and spoke the words that ended the Sith. "For Padmé, for the Jedi, for everyone you destroyed." He unleashed everything. And Palpatine Emperor, Sith Lord, manipulator of galaxies, disintegrated. The throne room fell silent. Anakin collapsed, breathing hard, life support failing. Luke caught him. "Father, stay with me." Anakin's scarred face managed a small smile. "I did it," he whispered. "I finally did it." And the chosen one closed his eyes, not in death, but in peace. Anakin woke in a rebel medical frigate alive, somehow. Luke sat beside him, exhausted but smiling.
You made it. You made it. You made it.
I shouldn't have, Anakin whispered, his voice weak without the mask. But you did, Obi-Wan said from the doorway, and now you have to live with it. Anakin understood. Survival wasn't a reward, it was a responsibility. The Empire collapsed within weeks, leaderless, fractured, dying. Moffs surrendered, fleets defected, entire star systems celebrated liberation. But Anakin didn't celebrate. He testified at war tribunals, confessing everything, naming every crime, accepting every punishment the New Republic wanted to give. They sentenced him to exile and service rebuilding destroyed worlds, dismantling Imperial weapons, hunting down war criminals who'd served under him. Anakin accepted it all. He traveled to Alderaan survivors and stood before them without his mask. I enabled the weapon that destroyed your home. I can't bring them back. But I will spend the rest of my life making sure it never happens again. Some spat at him. Some cursed him. But a few nodded. He went to Ryloth, to Mandalore, to every world the Empire had scarred. He didn't make excuses. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just worked. Slowly, over months, then years, people stopped seeing Darth Vader when they looked at him. They saw an old man with burns and scars, carrying supplies, building shelters, teaching children how to defend themselves from the Empire's remnants. Luke visited often. Ahsoka trained beside him again, not as master and apprentice, but as equals. Obi-Wan never said, "I forgive you." But he sat with Anakin in quiet moments, and that was enough. One day, a young girl approached Anakin on a refugee world. "Are you really him? The bad guy who turned good?" Anakin knelt slowly. "I was a bad guy. I'm trying to be better." "Is it working?" she asked. Anakin looked at the homes he'd helped rebuild, the families he'd reunited, the hope flickering back to life. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I'll keep trying." The girl smiled and handed him a flower. And for the first time in decades, Anakin Skywalker believed he might actually deserve it.